welcome back to Chrysalis Invictus Tarot. I'm so happy to have you here. We have new subscribers. I'm very excited, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I have a reading for you on closure. So we're going to take a look at what doors you're closing and maybe what is going to come in its place. I have 3 piles for you here, but first I want to call in your guides, my guides, any energies or entities that wish to be with us here through this reading. We call on the energies of those who bring this tarot tradition or have brought this tarot tradition forward. And we send healing to those in need, those who have been persecuted, for the gifts that we enjoy freely. And so with gratitude, love, and connection, we move forward in this reading using our intuition to select one of these 3 piles, and I will meet you at your reading. Pile number 1, welcome. So you chose this, I want to say French door. I don't know if it's French. It looks like a cathedral though. And this feels like it's something very formal that you're letting go of. So we're going to take a look here at what this closure pertains to, and then we're going to take a look at what you're bringing into your life at this time. So we have anger and chains. Yeah, I'm really getting a feeling of systems. I'm getting a feeling of official traditional systems and authority figures, and perhaps it's specific hierarchies that you've been a part of in your family or in your work life or in school even. So maybe you're graduating and you're going to move on from one traditional system. And so what's really coming through very strongly is that this is a period of time of feeling almost fragmented, like you know that you don't want to be a part of this thing, and you can tell because of how angry it makes you. There's a bit of an anarchist vibe here, and a feeling of wanting to protest, to fight back, you know, resenting what's bound you all this time. And maybe it's that your eyes have been open to a new way of seeing things, a new way of perceiving things, and you're sort of angry that you were ever in a space of ignorance. If that's the case, if that's you, it's okay. Part of the human experience is to make mistakes, and sometimes the most powerful advocates are the people who had the opposite viewpoint at some point, because you understand both sides of the argument. So that's something to maybe hopefully empower you. I'm seeing that breaking through this cycle has taken a lot of courage. So wherever you're at, and I say this in almost all of my readings, everything's on a spectrum as well as timelines. So for some of you, you're at the beginning of this, or you're still within that system, you're still within that hierarchy or that situation where you are bound. For some of you, you've broken free and you're dealing with residual rage or anger related to that, and you're sort of looking back and doing maybe some shadow work, looking back and experiencing those feelings over again. But I really feel this rising up of this warlike energy. And I want to clarify as well that just because I'm a tarot reader and a yoga teacher doesn't mean that I subscribe to the idea of ahimsa or nonviolence. I do believe that violence is a part of nature. I believe that, we do not need to deny ourselves the feeling of anger or rage. We do, however, need to take responsibility for those things. So, if my physiological response is anger, that's an indication of something. And so to deny myself that response is to deny myself. If you think about a box of crayons, it's like you can never draw with red. And no, I refuse. That is not a system. That's that's a chain that I'm breaking away from. I'm connecting in with your energy. I'm like, heck yeah, no, like moving on. All right, let's take a look at what you're bringing in. So Jude's song, and it says, oh, I have to read it over here. It's so dark in here. A reminder for even the most hopeless of lost cases, you can find peace within the strangest of places. So you are bringing in this is beautiful, you guys. You are bringing in new opportunities. You are finding yourself in places you never thought you would be before, or you will find yourself in places. Let's get more information about that. Let's see. Because I think this is coming in very clearly, and I feel like it is resonating with you, what you're breaking away from. But where are you? I feel like you guys need lots of shuffling. This is really life coming into a state of chaos. So either you have been in that state of chaos, or you're entering into that state of chaos. And I have here 29, and usually readers will add the 2 and the 9, but for some reason I want to take the 2 away from the 9 and go to 7. It's almost like you made progress in your life and you've had to go backwards to shake things up, I'm not monetized, so I can say to fuck things up. Like this is the energy. This is really badass, cool energy. Yeah, so there's feelings of grief. So if you're grieving what you've left behind, maybe you made some radical choices and you're sort of like, you have those moments of doubt. It shook your stability. It shook your idea of yourself, and it also ripped you away from a certain community. So these are the holes. These are the spaces that have been left in your life by, or that will be left in your life by making this choice. And that's why courage is needed. So much courage, so much strength. But the only thing that overcomes the devil, which is like addictions and patterns and things that bind and chain you, is strength. Is finding that space, because it's almost like they're two sides of the same coin. This rage and this liberation are two sides of the same coin. And so you need the same energy to, the energy that you have in resistance to it is the energy you need to transmute into courage in order to break free from it and to lift this grief. So the grief ends up slowing you down. The grief ends up, you turn your focus to what has been lost. This can indicate a period of lack of going through that. And then also mourning the loss of like feeling like you don't know who or what to work with or what ground you stand on. So I'm really seeing that there. But what is the energy going forward? Okay, so this is again indicating that you are walking away. There's something. So while you may be, this is really highlighting that while you may be like, yes, I need to get away from this, there are still things within it that you are going to miss, that you value, and it is okay to grieve those things and also want to leave them behind. It's okay to love someone and admit that they're not for you and move on from that situation. So I'm feeling that there's a lot of, difficult emotions wrapped up in this, that it's not as simple as just burning the house down and running away. It's like you have to like pack up the house and honor what it meant to you. But I see you doing this with, coming through this with fire. There could be someone that comes in that helps you, someone that's fiery, someone that is young. It could be a child in your life that really shows you or has has guided you to this place. So maybe you became a parent and you were like, this system is broken and I don't want this for my child, that kind of energy. Or, you know, it could be something that they said in reflecting on the way things were, where you were like, no, this is wrong. This doesn't feel right. So what you're doing in this moving away, if you are a parent or if you want to be a parent, you are setting up a better life for your child. So that's something you should know. And then with the 7 of Wands, there's so much fire energy here. It's important to sort out what is and isn't a threat. So again, it's honoring the parts and places of what you are leaving that are valuable. In honoring that, like, you wouldn't be so hurt if you didn't care so much. So maybe this, like if it's a job, for instance, if you were in this job, if you were in this relationship and it felt like you had arrived, it felt like the right thing, it felt like everything jived, and now you're at the end of that, recognizing all of the holes, all of the ways that it wasn't great, you can still honor what was, you know, you can still honor the growth of that situation. What else do we have going forward? The Emperor. Okay, so this is moving you into a leadership role. So you are, maybe you were following along, or maybe you were in a situation where you didn't, you had to follow more than take the lead. But I see you stepping into more of a leadership role. I see you coming into your own power and finding a balance with that fire. So with strength, and that's the card that I'm really getting strength and the devil from this card, okay? What you're moving away from. So what you're moving away from, maybe it's an addiction. That's also possible. So like the institution of addiction, in the sense of like the lifestyle is you work hard and then you earn, you know, going to the bar and getting wasted and lather, rinse, repeat. That's the cycle. That's the institution, because that is very much an institution. So let's say you're moving away from this institution, and part of the strength energy part is pride, and an overabundance of pride. And this is guiding you to stay out of that space, to stay out of feeling prideful, better than, all of the shadow sides of that fire energy. You're being called into the most powerful aspects of that fire energy, which is like creativity and leadership and standing in your own power. Mastering the masculine aspects of yourself, so honoring your intelligence, your ability to, maybe for some of you, you were in a situation where people didn't really value your ability to be logical. Like there's some people where they're treated like they're flakes, or they're treated like they are, you know, if you're creative, that you're just a creative person and that logic isn't for you. But that's absolutely not true. That's just one of those BS roles that you're put in, and maybe that was the role that you're breaking free from. So yeah, you're coming out of a period of suspension. You're coming out of a period of suspension, and you've burnt the rope. Like, you know, we think of the hanged man hanging by a rope. This is burning that rope. You're burning your chains, but you don't have to burn the place that you're leaving, I think is really what's coming through. So this is really great and interesting. I'm wondering, I want to get you some more guidance just before we close out the reading. Let's do crystal wisdom. I have all these nice little cards. have wondered if I should put my Amazon wish list on the in the description box. I have so many cards though. Amazonites, life purpose. I am fully aligned to and living my life purpose. So this is what you're moving toward. So as you close out this as you get closure from this cycle of this institution or this system or this, whatever was binding you, you're stepping into your life purpose. And I really see that here, ending this time of suspension and stepping into yourself. And that's really scary, that can be really scary. But you have all this fire on your side. Oh, 2 came out. Okay. Ancient Wisdom Crystal. And this is, I am an expression of the powerful ancient wisdom of my soul. It guides me through life. Yeah, and I really feel that that's where this anger is coming from. It's a justified anger. It's a justified anger at a system or a situation that was legitimately unfair, but you needed it. It was what you needed for a period of time, or it was how you needed to survive for a period of time. And that's your way of, kind of like not burning it down, is to recognize that that ancient part of yourself, that deep ancestral part of yourself, is really frustrated and annoyed at how this system works. And but it's almost like you need to create your own system. And we have Ruby, shine. It's time for me to shine. Absolutely. So everything here is saying that through this closure, you are stepping into some kind of spotlight. You are stepping into some kind of leadership role. You are stepping into the sun that is within yourself. And that's where I'm going to leave you. Pile number 1. Thank you so much for joining, and take care. Pile number 2, I forgot to mention to the last pile, or even in the intro, that there is an accompanying yoga and meditation. It's a restorative practice, so you hold restorative postures. It's accessible to every body, and a guided energy work and meditation journey work kind of class that's available with the theme of closure. So the information will be in the description box below, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. It's online, and all of that information is down there. So always check out the description box for my latest offerings. Pile number 2. Without any more hesitation, I have something to say, okay? So whatever this closure is, it is a continuation of something that already is. So it's not a firm and fast, hard door that you're closing. Pile number 1 had more of a distinct door that was closing, but for you, this is more like a passage from one way of being to potentially a similar way of being, but in a different way. So let's take a look at what door is closing first of all. Naked before the stars. Okay, so what is shifting for you right now, and the closure you're getting, is this idea that you don't have control in your life. It could be a cycle of feeling victimized by life. It could be, and this is not to say that, things haven't happened to you, like, I don't mean to minimize what you've been through, but there are definitely cycles in our lives where we step out of that victim mentality and start to feel more like just empowered in ourselves. And I'm really getting this like feeling of disempowerment, this feeling of almost like hopelessness, or it's kind of like, if I don't want to try because it won't work, you know, what's the point of doing this because it just won't turn out the way I want it to, or it's that energy of like, if I don't try, I don't fail. And that's what I see you moving through at this time. There's also something to do with body image. Okay, wow, okay. So without changing your physical body, this is changing your relationship to your physical body. And this could be very much tied to the first points that I was making. It's sort of like I accept myself and then the reflection in the mirror changes. I'm not feeling very comfortable right now. I'm feeling very, very uncomfortable. I don't like this energy that I'm sitting in right now. It feels simultaneously, it feels heavy, and it also feels like I'm poisoning myself. Can we stop and take a few rounds of breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, let the shoulders drop. Let's begin to transmute some of this energy as we are sitting here today. When you are hungry, nourish yourself with things that will feel bright and light. Some of you aren't feeding yourselves, and some of you are feeding yourselves too much, like with heaviness, and you know what I'm talking about. Okay. It's tied into this idea of self-empowerment. So instead of empowering yourself, you feed yourself or you don't feed yourself. So that's kind of what's going on here. So let's see what you're stepping into. Let's get out of this energy. Forgive and forget. Ooh, pile 2. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm having a really hard time with this. I don't know if it's just hitting home too much for me. I'm gonna do my best here, but this is a lot. I feel for you. So it says, a ritual cleansing of pain and lies, arise and awaken, see a new sunrise. Oh my God. And do you ever need that sunrise? And I was really drawn to the fact that through this threshold, it is very bright. And so this is very much you as you get closure with this cycle. Oh my gosh, do you need it? Yeah, that you're walking into something brighter. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to let go of? Because I really feel like this, honestly, I feel like this heaviness and this energy is related to a person. It's reflective of a person. It's almost like there's a person that's a trigger for you. Or there's a kind of person that's a trigger for you, or there's a situation. Yeah, there's this like feeling of scarcity, this feeling of a lack of control, also outside influences or jealousy. So I have 2 different groups here. I have the undereaters and I have the overeaters. And if you are neither of those things, this probably isn't your reading. For the undereaters, this is a situation where someone has treated you in a certain way because of jealousy, and that is your trigger. That sort of person, whoever it is, probably your mother, but it could be someone else, could be a sister. I'm getting mother very strongly, that this person treated you this way out of jealousy, and it created this need to control and to limit yourself, and you took it into yourself, and that's their BS. So when you move through this door, when you close this door, when you pass through this threshold, you don't take them with you. They're gone. For the overeater, it's like, it's this feeling of lack, like you weren't given enough of something. And so whatever you weren't given, you're trying to fill what you weren't given, like fill that space in yourself with food. So, if you were not given enough love, and any situation where you feel like you're not getting enough love, you eat. And I think that these cycles are exposing themselves to you. I really feel, this is a threshold. This is certainly not the end. So when I'm saying that you're getting closure on one part of it, and you're moving into a next part. And we have this star. So there's this beautiful, hopeful energy. This is the light at the end of the tunnel. This is the light at the end of this cycle. You are moving into a lighter part, because we have the stars here. And it felt like you didn't have control at some point, and you are moving into that place of, you no longer have to allow these things to, or you're use food as a stand-in. Or if you are, you're at least aware of its usage in that way. And that's always a first step to moving through that. So let's get more. Okay. Yeah. And because of these, so if the initial situation is over, let's say you've moved out of your parents' house, you're no longer in the situation that created the behavior. This is about watching triggers. This is about watching people that are, or noticing if there are people, you've brought someone in that's like your mother, for instance, in your life, and that's triggering you. This is just about watching your triggers. So I see you as you emerge into this light, being able to see those triggers, being able to see the behaviors for what they are, and moving into a much better space. So this cycle of closure is not necessarily closing a door. It's just moving you into a much healthier space, a next part of a cycle. Yeah. So it will feel unstable because it's unfamiliar ground. Like if you've always coped in a certain way and now you're shifting the way that you cope, there's still going to feel like a void there, or it's going to feel a bit chaotic. And it's going to be hard to speak about it with anyone, potentially. I'm really getting that it could be helpful, if you're not already, to seek out some sort of therapy, talk therapy, where you can work out some of these ideas, and some of these issues. And I really feel like that's what's coming in for you, is this new level of awareness, this new level of healing, a movement in the right direction, which is really amazing, really beautiful, really positive, I think. Let's get you some advice. Pile number 2. Okay. We have 2 green stones. So this is about the heart space, okay? This is about feeling more comfortable with your emotions, about expressing your emotions, about being in situations and finding situations where you can have your heart open. So if you're used to keeping your heart guarded and being defensive because of people in your past or people in your family, I'm really getting that family is a huge trigger here. Mother and sister especially, like other or anyone that you shared a lot of time and living space with, are You're, you're finding those people in others, and then those people are triggering you. But this is a movement toward finding people who nourish your heart space, who nurture your heart space, where you can keep your heart open, where you don't have to guard yourself. And that's going to move you into this better space, this healthier space. We have Brazilianites, flexibility. I am flexible and free to be me. Yes. So there is some aspect of this situation where maybe you didn't feel like your needs, sometimes if there's someone who has a certain kind of personality, their needs become more important than yours. This is where you're prioritizing your needs over anyone else's, and you're able to be yourself and to explore who you are. So maybe you were pigeonholed in a certain way. And this is about breaking out of that character sketch that others created for you and really exploring your own identity. We have serpentine, transformation. Yes, my life is transforming at the perfect time in the most powerful way. And that's really what I feel for you, is this beautiful sense of breaking out of there will be people who will always try to hold us into those old roles and into that old way of being. But, this is confirmation and empowerment that you can break out of that. And we have Scolecite, peace. Oh, I am an instrument of peace. Yeah. And that's something to keep in mind also, is that, the most sensitive people build the biggest heart walls. Because you have this beautiful, loving, sweet, nurturing energy, and you just wanted someone to reciprocate that. You just wanted someone to care for you the way that you care for others. And now in this period, as you're passing through this threshold, as you're getting closure, some amount of closure from old cycles, you're able to give some of that energy back to yourself, that self-love kind of journey where you start to recognize that a hug from you is like the best feeling, and you start to feel what other people feel around you, and you also start to surround yourself with the people who honor that part of you instead of use it to their advantage and things like that. So this has been, my honor to read for you. I really wish nothing but the best for you. My information is down below. Please leave me a comment, and we'll see you soon. Pile number 3, welcome to your reading. I just had to take a break after the last pile. It was pretty intense. And I thought I would clear the energy with some incense. This incense is so yummy smelling. I wish you could smell it. Okay, I forgot to mention in the intro and in the first pile, but this reading has an accompanying restorative practice, guided energy healing, and meditation with me online. So the information will be in the description box below. Check that out. And for you, let's dig into your reading. So first of all, I want to say that this closure is on something that feels kind of eternal. Like it has a lot of layers to it. It has, so like whatever this theme is, and we'll dig into that, where one, like the door never really closes. You never fully close it. It's something that is always just a continuation, recycling itself. So something that just continuously regenerates. So rather than it ending and beginning, it just sort of like transitions. But it's always in this movement toward healing, brightness, that kind of thing. So if anything heavy comes up, just keep in mind that that's where we're headed. So let's take a look at what you're closing out. We have parasite. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is about people feeding on your energy, people feeding on your kindness, people feeding on your mind. This can manifest in a bunch of different ways, like people taking your ideas, for instance, or just wanting to be close to you and then kind of like sucking, like a lot of people that suck all the energy out of the room may be attracted to you. So this is a closing out a cycle of allowing those people to even be in your life, quite honestly. Yeah, there's been something that's been feeding on you, and you are moving on to a stage of a new and different stage with that. So one of those things can be, for instance, if you're always kind of the counselor friend of your group, and you start to move into doing that professionally, and then you start to not make so much space for it in your personal life because you're doing it in your professional life, and maintaining those boundaries. So I do feel like there's something about boundaries coming up, that this closure is closing out a cycle of maybe not having boundaries. Again, everything on a spectrum. So you could be anywhere from like having no boundaries to being really almost ready to live that truth, like live the truth of what it is to have boundaries in your day-to-day life. Let's take a look at what you're moving toward. So this is a moment's joy. Stand through the hourglass, yet time could stand still. A moment lasts forever in the bliss of heart's will. Okay, so this is actually in your romantic life. I'm getting specifically, you're closing out a cycle of dating or romance, or in your relationship. So if you are in a committed relationship where you are in service to that other person, where you take responsibility for their feelings or emotions, yeah, let's get more about that. This is about who you let close to you personally, for sure. A cleansing. And I'm just gonna take a moment to share with you that, like, in my own life, I regularly go through these cleansings, right? And so that's where that like eternal hallway seems to come from, where you're constantly, not constantly, but you're called to at various times to really acknowledge whether someone is right for you in your life, without having to make them into some kind of villain or something, but like, is this a healthy give and take in this relationship, and really evaluating that. Yeah, so I see you walking or moving away. This is a much needed cleansing. So this could be purging even your Facebook, your social media. This could be about distancing yourself from situations or people that you've been struggling with for a long time. Like, do you need permission? You might just have been kind of waiting for permission for this. The Fool. Okay, so these are people in your life. So if you're looking for, how to identify them, these are people in your life where every time you try to move forward, they're very resistant to it, or they continuously seem to pull you back. There can be a lot of like innocent energy where you're sort of like, they exhaust your compassion, and they exhaust your compassion because maybe they have a sad story. Maybe you understand where they're coming from. Maybe you see old parts of yourself or mistakes you've made in them. But there's a certain point where you have to look at those people, at the people that you're making excuses for, the people that you are defending, and recognize that while yes, you were in that space at one time, you are no longer in that space. And how long have they been in that space? Are they going to continue to be there? And is that your problem? Two of Cups. This is definitely about romantic cycles, and coming toward a balanced give and take. A balanced give and take. Okay, so another element to this is that or something that you're being reminded of is that just because you move away from that, and this is where it is an eternal hallway, just because you move away from that does not mean you are a different person. So there was still something that you were attracted to in those people. So for instance, you could make an argument that I have a type, or that I am attracted to addicts, alcoholics, that kind of thing. And so maybe my person isn't not an alcoholic, but someone who is in recovery, taking responsibility for themselves. So there could be some kind of truth to the pattern that exists with people. And when you come into that empowered place within yourself, you will then want to have that in another person. So there was something about the people that you are leaving behind that rang true for you at some point, and that may continue to ring true for you. So why am I attracted to addicts? Well, a lot of times they've had crazy life experiences, which makes them kind of exciting. There can be a lot of sensitivity there. That was, alcohol was like a mask for that. And, I like, honestly, just a lot of times, really fun, sensitive, interesting, kind of dynamic personalities and people. And so when you start to think about, dating others, it's kind of like, what even would that be? Like, what would that even look like? If you've had a lot of experience with, let's say, more broken people, or people with more risky lives or behaviors, or if you've had a lot of experience with people with like mental health issues and that kind of thing, they have very colorful lives. And sometimes, you look at other people's lives and you go, well, that's a little bit black and white for me. Like, I just don't see where I would fit in that space. And maybe that's true. But this is something to kind of reflect on and to look at is, what about those people was attracting you? Because not only were they attracted to you, you were attracted to them for some reason. Okay, so I'm seeing also like a caution about the walls that you build up. So like how I was saying, addicts, not in all cases, but how that can be like a mask for sensitivity, or a way of coping with sensitivity. Another way of coping with sensitivity can be a giant heart wall. Being extremely stubborn, and this can keep you in a space of stasis or keep others out. And when you don't know, it's almost like, I don't know who's a threat, so I assume everyone is. And I see it's almost like a calcifying of the heart here, and so there's a warning about that. But I do see an end to certain anxieties. So as you pass through this threshold, as you get some closure in certain situations, it will lessen the amount of anxiety that you have, and the kind of like nightmarish energy or the fear, because sometimes we don't know how much a person is affecting us until they're gone. And so I'm really feeling like this is what's coming in for you, is this this period with less anxiety, with knowing yourself more, with setting good and healthy boundaries. Again, warning against setting too rigid of boundaries. But wherever you are in this cycle, sometimes we like we tend to swing, right? We go from like having no boundaries to having the most amount of boundaries, and then you kind of come back to the center. So so there's a variety of different stages that I'm seeing here. Let's get some advice for you. We have rhodochrosite, I believe. Self-acceptance. I fully accept myself and know that I am worthy of great things in life. Worthiness. Okay. So maybe there was a part of yourself that thought that you like deserved people that were broken or parasitic or toxic. That's something to look at as well as you are closing this. Maybe you are coming into a stage of recognizing that you do not need to be with people who are broken, who are not working on themselves, that you deserve to be with someone who you know, maybe they're a chipped glass, but they're still working on keeping the rest of themselves held together, and they're not relying on you to hold them together. We have amber. Ancestors. My ancestors are guiding and loving me now and always. I am open to receive their support and wisdom. So this is a little gem here, looking at your ancestors, but I also think this is looking at your personal history. So it could be that, you know, the kind of people that that are leeching off of you are reflective of your family, or are reflective of you know, something that culturally you were just taught to accept, and you're no longer accepting that. You're moving away from that. So, you know, ancestors can provide a lot of strength and stability behind you and help you to hold those boundaries. They're very strong. They stand behind us. So this could be a call to work with your ancestors. And we have Jayapte's love. I am love and love is me. So I do see, as you move through this cycle, you calling in this new, fresh love and this joy and this bliss, and your heart feeling safer, feeling more comfortable. I'm going to leave it there, pile number 3. Thank you so much for joining me today, and take care.